Hey, everybody. Oh, listen to this music. It's our lovely Waitbot. Welcome to episode 25, Barsha, with guitarist and producer Valerie Romanoff. We are broadcasting to the world. Take a minute, everybody, as I come to camera. To broadcast to the world, hit the little two white lines on the lower left. Broadcast to the world. And I am going to broadcast to the world as well. Look at us. We're live on YouTube. It's very exciting. Okay. Valerie Romanoff. I'm going to invite you to video. And there I have. Oh, look at my friend Valerie Romanoff. We're just waiting for a few people to come in. Welcome, Martha. Welcome, Graciela. Welcome, Rube. My friend Ruben is down there. And of course, welcome to our lovely Waitbot. So first, I'm going to just do my little song that I do for everybody that comes into the show. And here we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Where do you go on Mondays when you want to have fun? Where can you go on Mondays when your day is done? Well, Fireside Chat is where it's at. Our guests are all the best. I've known her forever, from takeoff to liftoff. So now let's kick off. Valerie Romanoff. Join me in welcoming Valerie Romanoff. So Valerie, hello.
That was so good.
Yes, I do a little personalized.
That was the best. I love your songs.
Personalized kickoff. Okay. First, I want to give you a proper intro because I've known you for a very long time through incredible performances, recordings, live events. And I want to say this is a very accurate bio. With spiritual funk and a cosmic groove, guitarist, composer Valerie Romanoff takes her listeners through a full spectrum of music, and she invented still, which is music for meditation, chill, music for activation, and thrill, music for celebration. And she does still, chill, thrill in an we'll explain the whole thing in a minute. But she is also the co-founder of the world-renowned Starlight Orchestra. If you look that up, I believe it's starlightorchestra.org. What is it, Valerie?
It's starlightmusic.com.
Starlightmusic.com. Beautiful.
The company is Starlight Music, and the band that I lead is called the Starlight Orchestra.
Exactly. And actually, if you want to, I'm going to actually put in the fortune cookie during the show. I'm going to put someplace where you can actually click and get everything about Valerie. She also did Groove into Bliss, which is a series of experimental concerts, starting with the musical meditation to connect to the present moment, and then journeys through the different energetic states, culminating in up-tempo fun music, and that's what Still Chill Thrill is, and uplifting messages. And this is her credo, and I'm going to read it, Valerie, then we're going to start. Valerie believes that bringing intentions, affirmations, and prayers into each of our activities empowers a vibrant life of joy and expanding awareness. And I, for one, sang on one of her albums called Healing Music. And is that the one I sang on? Yes. Yep. And it won 2 awards for Best Meditation Music and Best World Fusion Album from the Coalition of Visionary Resources and the Zone Music Reporter. Let's get into this. Wow. So you're bringing consciousness to music in a very intentional, directed way, correct?
Yes. I would say
Okay,
that's
you're just
true.
nodding. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
I
can
just,
hear you. Yes.
okay, good. So, where, first of all, you're a very spiritual person. I've known you for my whole musical life. Where did this, though, current thing come from? I'm interested in the journey because you started with an event band that's been extremely successful. People would call it a quote, wedding band, event band, but you were always intentional, weren't you?
Well, yes. And, it's really funny because when I think back on the first event I ever did, the first musical experience I had, I felt it was a culmination of a lot of the spiritual intention setting that you and I were doing when we were 19 years old. We
That's
were,
right.
we were on a spiritual path together. We were learning from each other. You had brought, the Mary Baker Eddy books to our little group,
At
and we
that
were
time, I was a
reading
Christian
all
Scientist.
about it. Yeah, and that it was that intention setting and prayers, and then I got a call that we were like, we need some gigs. I mean, we were playing around town, but we weren't really making any money, and so I was like, I need a gig. So, and then the phone rang, and I definitely connected it to the intention setting and the desire to be able to hone our craft and do music and not have to go get a different kind of a job, and that happened, and then being in that band set a whole future in motion of not only being able to work and combine music with business, but the spiritual aspects, and learning that even though it was events, we could still use the magic that we were learning and the intentions and the energy, everything about vibration and sound and intentions, and put it into all kinds of music, even parties.
Right. And
That's how
I
it kind of all
remember,
started.
yeah, and I remember going very back in the early days to one of your gigs. And of course, most people don't know this, but there's a lot of planning involved when you're doing someone's wedding or an event. But you always went over the top with dancers and costumes and choreography and lights, and not just what you would think is a typical casual, they call them in LA or whatever. You
Yeah.
always wanted to do that, correct?
Oh my God. To me, in a way, it was an opportunity. Like, okay, I have this 4-hour event and I have this particular budget. Now, how do we put on something crazy and amazing? Not because the clients expected it so much, but it was because our passion to do it. I wanted to, like, how good can it be? And so, and I want to add not only all of the elements that you saw, the dancers and the costumes and the music, but all of the little ways to make it flow smoothly, for me to communicate with the band, for the band to be able to support me, for me to be able to support the party. It was all the planning and the little tricks and the little shortcuts and the kinds of ways, because you know how hectic it can be on stage, and especially
Yes.
a medium like this. It's so different than a show. It's different than a Broadway show in the fact that you can plan and plan, but you really don't know how it's going to go, and you make substitutions based on the moment and the timing that you have. And and it's not like a headline show. You can go out and you do the same show every night because it's always different. So there's a whole different set of skills and requirements. But the undercurrent always is, how do we uplift this crowd? How do we take, this opportunity to reach people and to move them from one moment to another? The idea is that by the end of the night, something has shifted and something has happened, and some kind of energetic moving that in a positive direction.
I love it. I love it. And, it really shows. I mean, the Healing Music album, first of all, and even all the awards you got. And then that was when CDs were being sold. Okay. It
Yeah.
wasn't live streaming. And not only that, you were like your own company. You produced the CDs, you got them where they needed to be. You were able to get nominations for a lot of awards. So you enjoy the business stuff as much as the creations of everything.
Uh, well, I will say to today, you kind of have to be able to do all those things.
Right.
Do I enjoy them as much? It definitely takes away from the creative time. I spend a lot of time on marketing and digital assets and media and posting and researching. And I wish sometimes that I wish I could do more with just the creative and being in the studio and making the music and performing it. But yeah, I love all of that. I do love the business aspect of it. I've always loved that. Being able to
Yeah.
have a successful business in New York City.
I've always
was,
thought of you as a creative entrepreneur. That's what I've thought of. Yeah, that you're equally, I mean, your music is amazing. And by the way, everyone, Valerie is an incredible guitar player. I mean, like off the charts. So you should know that too. So there's this redheaded short woman grooving her ass off on the guitar, as well as creating her own, actually, I have to say, legacy at this point. I really want to say that. I mean, you created something and made your mark in the world in a very big stamp. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. So what I want to talk about is also you travel a lot and you really are conscious about the vibrational quality of each place that you play or settle. For instance, can you talk while I get your link? I have to go off camera for a minute about Sedona and what that energy is to you and why it's beautiful to play music there. And I'll be back. Go ahead. I'm going to go get your link.
So, could you say that question again? It just blipped out. I just wanted to make sure what you were saying.
I'm just going to copy and paste your link so everybody can have it. While I'm gone, can you talk about Sedona, which you actually lived and played there?
Yes. So Sedona's my home away from home. It's ever since I first heard of this place where there was vortex energy and red rocks and kind of a new metaphysical movement there. I just felt something and I got chills and I was like, what is this place? And when I went and I saw it for the first time and I experienced the energy, it's something that you have to experience to believe. Not only is it so beautiful and gorgeous, but to me, reality has a little different quality there. It's the way that you think things are, it actually is. It's sort of like if you're sitting at a light for too long and you realize, I must be here for a reason. Why is this happening? There is the sign, whatever it is. It's like, oh, there's a person I was supposed to see. It's like everything synchronistic happens. I found for myself that going to Sedona, because the energy is stronger there, I was able to give birth to my dreams and desires by being in that energy. So I would go and I would find a beautiful power spot. I mean, we should talk about that. You and I were there together. It was my second time. I was there once and I was only there for a few days. And I said, I can't wait to come back. And then you and I went back together and we climbed some of these amazing, not only mountains, but with that vortex energy and meditated on top and took out our crystals and asked to be shown, what is next. And then remember, we met people and one thing led to another and we had readings and we connected, and it's just the way life unfolded with that kind of mindset of we want to be shown, we want to be open to what is our purpose. I remember you asking somebody, what is my purpose? And the information that we got set us on these courses for our entire lives and our entire careers. So for me, Sedona is about being in a certain kind of an energy that makes it easier for me to connect with myself, with my inner self, and open to whatever higher vibrations there are. So,
and the land is so full of energy. You're standing on these kind of mountains and plateaus, and you're like, how is this created? Like you're naturally brought back to that vibe,
Yeah.
So.
And the first 10 years or 15, no, do you want to ask me something?
Yeah, no.
The first 15 years or 10 years, you go.
Sorry, there's a little lag. I think it's because your Bluetooth headphones, but that's okay. I was going to say that when we went off. Oh, it's okay. It's fine. I want to give enough space for you. And anyway, so what I was going to say was I remember at your album release party in Sedona, I remember thinking this would feel different if it was set in a different place. Really, I'm serious.
How so? Can you tell me about that?
Oh, you sound better now with the earphones off. Well, first of all, when we stay in Sedona at the Sky Lodge or whatever, what was the name of that place?
Sky Ranch. The Sky Ranch Lodge.
Sky Ranch. Yeah, there's two places, Enchantment and Sky Ranch Lodge, which I thought were both amazing places. And just to have the people that actually, the locals plus your band, who were both there, combining, and we're all there witnessing this in a different place. I mean, we flew from New York to Sedona to experience this, and that's where you decided to have your release party. I mean, what made you said, okay, I'm going to release this here and have this energy with me to go forward? Is that why you did that?
At first, it never occurred to me to have a CD release show or a CD release party because it was meditation music. It wasn't really music you could perform. So it never occurred to me. And then a friend of mine in New York said, when are you going to have your CD release show? And I said, well, I don't think I am. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll have a party. So when I was thinking about where to have it, I was so inspired in Sedona, and that's where I would always go. I would come home and work. I would come home and just do my work and go my next level. And then I would go back to Sedona maybe every 3 months, and I would go up to Rachel's Knoll and sit out there looking at eternity and meditate and say, well, what's next? And I feel like that's where the seeds were planted. I would put energy and prayer, and then I would come home and do the work and then watch things blossom. And then I would go back to Sedona for the next round. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to have my CD release show in Sedona. So that's when I started to get involved in the music. At first, the first 10 years, I was under the radar. I was part of the community, but it was more the spiritual community. I never played music. I didn't work when I was there. I never did shows. So I picked a little theater, and I decided to play. I was just going to have a party. And I said, well, how can I have a party without playing the music?
Right.
And then I said, but how can you play music, meditation music, in a concert? So then I decided to have certain guests like Tao, Portia Lynch, and she was using my music in her yoga class. We have to talk about her.
We have to talk about Tao. She just recently passed away, but she was 100 years old yoga teacher.
She was 101 and a half. And listen to this. She died 2 weeks before the pandemic shut everything down. In her infinite wisdom, I could feel her saying, I'm not, it's a good time for me to go. She was 101 and a half. So when we did the CD release show, she was probably 90, and she was using my music in her yoga class. So I said, why don't you come to Sedona, and part of the show can be you could demonstrate and do some moves. Well, a week before the show, she broke her wrist. And she said, I don't know. I mean, I really want to come, but I can't do any yoga. And I said, well, why don't you just recite your poetry over some of the very ambient music? And that's what she did. I don't know if you remember that, but it was so great. So then I decided, okay, part of it we'll play the meditation music and let people experience it, but then we'll entertain people. And so I had a band I had people coming in from everywhere. It was so much fun. Only 2 people from my Starlight band in New York came. And then I had a drummer who I had met when I was visiting a friend in St. John. The drummer came from the Caribbean. Claire on bass came from Key West. And then the rest were local, were people that lived in Sedona, friends that were played. So there was a whole band that we put together. And we had Jesse Kalu on Native American flute, and Tom Rossi played his kora and his bansuri flute. And it was, and we had a didgeridoo player, because one of the pieces on the album has didgeridoo. And we had tabla, because I had a lot of Eastern influences.
Yeah, I might play a little of that. I may. But I'd like to play a little of the concept of did you put together this, you just sent it to me. I think it's 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yes.
And what is it? Is it a condensed version of your concept?
Well, okay, so Still Chill Thrill, the idea is exactly as you said it. It basically, to me, all of the music has a place in our day and in our lives, because music is entertainment, but people don't realize how often they're using music as medicine or as an accompaniment to their life. And when I put out this album, and the publicist said to me, okay, so what's your genre? And I said, well, I don't really have a genre, because and she said, well, you have to have a genre. People have to know how to find you and what they're looking for. And I said, well, I have this album, and it's healing music, which I never set out to make a healing music album. I always sit down at my studio and say some prayers and say whatever comes out. I thought I was going to write up like a funk album and, jam out on the guitar and write songs. And then this other thing came through, and to support a more of a mindful body mindfulness. So I went with it. But when they asked me to pick a genre, I couldn't not identify myself as like a funky rock and guitar player, because that's kind of one of my deepest identities. So I decided a friend of mine, a chiropractor, was playing all of my music in his office, and he wrote, whether you want to be still, get chill, or have a thrill, Valerie Romanoff's music has it covered. And I said, oh my God, that is so great.
Because a chiropractor was using it medicinally.
Yeah. Like you would come into his office, you might hear Bruce Springsteen, you might hear a hockey game, or you might hear new age music. It was like he was like a mad scientist. His name is Mark Filippi. He passed away a few years ago. Very gifted, intuitive, incredible healer. But he gave me that idea. And so then I decided to lean into that and make that my genre. So, it was a little rebellious. I couldn't pick one, but so still chill thrill. So all of the music that we play for dancing and celebrating, it has its place and it's exciting. But what I came to learn is that if you can, before you get all excited and party, find some mindfulness, connect, whether it's meditating or whether it's chanting or whether it's doing our Buddhist practice, whatever it is, connect up first, because everything that happens from there is stronger. It's more vibrant. It's more alive. It's more meaningful, and it can work in a more holistic way if you kind of just put your mindfulness on it. So the still chill thrill is, yes, we're going to get to the thrill and we're going to have so much fun and we're going to dance and we're going to sing and we're going to party. But before we do that, let's just take a few minutes and find something that connects you with the inner world, which in many ways is really what it's all about. The outer world is all of the,
So musically, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it gets very exciting because I love this concept.
I know, we have so much to say.
I know, but let me ask you a question. So what you put together in this 3 minutes we're going to play, you put the music in first, how you go from still, chill to thrill in a condensed version, and then you put the pictures to it? Is that how you did this? About to show?
Yes, exactly. What I wanted to do was to just give a little experience of what it means, the still, chill, thrill. And it's obviously very, very short, 30 seconds of the still, but it does give you an idea to slow down, and just take a moment and just get quiet. And then there's like an incremental raising of the energy and of the vibration and of the tempo and of what you can do. For me, in the chill, when I call it music for activation, means there's some work that you can do, that the music can accompany you, whether it's doing yoga or whether it's actually chanting the Lotus Sutra or whether it's writing intentions or pulling cards or whatever you do that your mind is involved in your journey. The still part is the meditating part, no mind, it's just trying to connect. I sometimes think about, this is a weird analogy, but as far as connecting to the higher, I think about like pipes, like water comes through the pipes. And if the pipes aren't lined up, all this water is coming here and then spilling out. But when the pipes are lined up, and I think the water is the analogy for creative energy, love energy, divine energy, comes through into us, we have to line it all up so that we can receive it. And that's kind of what my analogy is to why the still moments are important, because that's when we just line up. Sometimes it's just the breath alone does that.
Right.
So the still is the music for meditation. The chill is the music for after you've meditated. How do we activate and get to the next level? How do we transform? How do we do what we do? And then once all that's happened, this idea of the thrill is that all of the energy, all of the prayers, dreams, thoughts, desires, then we throw them out, because music is a conduit. Music is actually a conduit to move energy. So my idea is that because you asked about vibration. To me, so let me just a quick little thing. Everything is vibration. The universe is vibration, and we are vibration, and each of our organs has a vibration, and our thoughts are vibration. Everything is. So if you can have a consciousness about how we're using those vibrations. So we have all these thoughts, all these dreams, there are all these vibrations. Then this music, we consciously throw those thoughts and prayers onto this stream of up-tempo music. In a way, it's like throwing it out to the universe and throwing it into the collective field for positive energy to be experienced by everybody.
I love that setup. Now let me see.
We've never talked about this, have we?
No, we've never talked about this in all the years we've known each other. Now I'm going to try to turn this so that we get a really good view of this. Can everybody see my screen? Yes or no? Yes? Can you see my screen, Valerie?
I only see half the screen. You need to move it over a little to the other, towards your lamp. Yeah, a little bit more. Little bit more, and maybe come back a little bit.
How's that?
That's pretty good. You'll see if we can see the
All
scrolling.
right, let's see if we can do this.
Got to go left a little bit. And yeah, there you go. That's good.
I loved it. Can we have applause? That is amazing. All right. So Valerie, I see what you mean. So you take all that beautiful meditation, you get it a little faster, and then everybody dances and you incorporate up till the two first phases aren't really using your body actively. You're there. Your body's feeling it, but then you move it, which I love. Listen, this is a great concept for people. Now, let me ask you, do you create music specifically, or do you use what you've already created and make an evening or a show about, like with it?
Well, that's a great question. And the first thing I want to say is so much of what I've done, particularly with Starlight, is everything is so custom. We've never done the same show twice. That's cover music. So sometimes I'm creating new music for a particular project, and sometimes I'm using music that I've been creating. So in a case like this, the first piece was something that I put on my album. It was just no. Actually, I took your ohms. Did you hear yourself?
I recognized my voice, my ohms on the record. Yes, I did.
So I pulled out all of our ohms, you, me, and Tom and Doug. I pulled them out, and then I played some new music underneath it. I did that yesterday, just to create
Wow.
like a little ambient, beautiful moment. And then I added rhythm to it, and for the with drums, to give it a little bit more rhythm, because as you said, you're not really moving your body, but we're shifting from having everything in our mind to feeling it in the body, because the rhythm
Yes.
comes in with the chill. In the
Yes.
still, there's really no rhythm. So you introducing the rhythm, it's connecting us with the rhythm of life, the rhythm of the planet, or as Tao always said, like the heartbeat of the pulse beat of the universe. So it's funny, somebody once asked me, I was having a reading I was interviewed on somebody's show. He was very psychic, and all of his friends were all like very sort of cosmic. And he asked, like, what's your relationship with this? And I was thinking, mine is just, it's about rhythm. That it's just
Right.
about connecting with through using rhythm as a through line through our bodies, through our hearts, and connecting with everything, all that is. So
And
yeah,
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish, and then I want
no, that
to.
was
I
it
don't want
really.
to.
I was just, no, you go ahead. Go ahead. You go.
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to say, that, throughout the time, like you said, my grandmother was the only person I know that was born Jewish that converted to Christian Science and started us on our journey, our
Yeah.
metaphysical journey, you and I. And now you're saying rhythm, which we both chant now, right? Parts of the Lotus Sutra, and we chant Nam
Yeah.
Myoho Renge Kyo, as well as
Yeah.
bringing in all these Om and other practices. But we really are connected through rhythm, you and I. When disco came out and you had to play those single line notes on the guitar, you were in heaven. Okay, that's so, like, yes, rhythm is so big in our lives, and I just love that you mentioned that, because, of course, tonality and sound and beautiful pads are wonderful, but rhythm is really, if you're into rhythm the way we are, you live it, kind of. That's true, right?
It's so true. You live it because everything has a pulse. It's
Yeah,
almost like the heartbeat of life. And
yeah,
we're tying into that. And
yeah.
and interesting, with the different kinds of music affecting us, the meditation music is an invitation to slow down. So everything is
Yes,
very kind of slow. And when you're thinking about doing things that are more energetic, like exercising, or running, or even working, doing something very energetic, the tempo's faster. And it's like we calibrate to that. We just sort of connect to whatever. So there's conscious choices we can make as far as what music we put on around us to, and that's a lot to do with the healing music, because this is just a little bit of an aside, but it does have to do with rhythm. If you have a particular kind of vibration going that you're listening to or that's surrounding you, your body is going to, what's called sympathetic vibrations, is going to match that. So
mm,
if you have something out of balance, so this is where the music is sort of like related to wellness and medicine and healing, is if you have something out of balance but you put the right frequency out in the field near you, you will start to vibrate at that more wellness and that whole level, which is how music is healing, the vibration of music. That's that
right.
kind of untapped power.
Now, so everybody, I just want you to know I did put in Valerie's little link there, and that takes you to everything that Valerie does, everything. So if you click on that link either during the show or after the show, you will see everything, including healing music, her album, and everything. Um, can you tell us, though, some of the high profile people you've played with and worked with or played their events over the years? And also, can we talk about your stint on The Sopranos, the TV show The Sopranos?
Oh my God. So yeah, The Sopranos was awesome because it was my favorite show at the time. I just loved it, and it was season 5, and they were they were making those shows in the season. They weren't making all those shows and having them in the can. They were
Wow.
doing they did see episode 1, and then they aired it like 2 weeks later. And so we got this call, and I just couldn't believe it. It was the producer was tasked to find a wedding band for a big fancy wedding scene, and so she had to go do her due diligence the way anybody looking for a wedding band would. So she started asking and going to venues. And then ultimately she went to New York Magazine, the best of the best. I think it was the best of the best weddings. And luckily or happily, we
Starlight
were on there.
Orchestras.
Starlight Orchestra, and then they called and said, we need a band for a wedding. I was like, well, what wedding? And they're like, well, it's really a TV show. I'm like, what TV show? So they hired us. They hired us for this wedding scene to come play a hora. We had to play Siman Tov Mazel Tov. This is a Jewish wedding scene. And I remember fantasizing, oh my gosh, I wish I could have a line. I would love to, I wonder if I should call and say, and I was thinking about it, and I went to bed thinking about it and kind of having this intention. And the next morning we got a call from the casting agent saying, well, we'd like the band leader to come in and read for a line. I was like, oh my God. Oh, can you believe that?
You read for the line?
Yes, I had to go in and have an audition, a videotaped reading, and I had to read the lines, which was kind of awkward. But so
what was the line?
It was late. Okay, so here's the scene. I'm going to set up the scene.
I love this.
This was the scene where, all the poker playing guys, there was one Jewish guy and the rest were the Italian guys. And the Jewish guy's daughter was having a wedding. And he didn't invite any of the Italian guys, his poker buddies, to the wedding. And they were mad. Like, why didn't he invite us? Well, we're not good enough to go to the wedding. And so one of them said, it was at a country club in New Jersey. And one of them said, well, I bet you they're going to have a lot of nice cars there. And another one said, let's go and steal the cars. Let's just steal the cars, just to make, we'll show them, So now here comes the scene. It's this big wedding. There's a big hora going on. There's 250 extras, all dressed in black tie, making a big circle on the dance floor and doing a hora. The band, which was me and my band, is playing and singing Siman Tov and Mazel Tov. And the two fathers are up in the chair. And all of a sudden, the parking guy comes running in, and he's all bloody, and he's all disheveled, and he comes and whispers something to me. And I'm supposed to call off the band, stop. And while the guys are up in the chair, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a burglary. Some of the cars have been stolen. And that's it. And then everybody runs outside. That was the scene. 12 hours we shot it.
Okay, hold on a second. Season 5, what episode? Because I'm going to get that clip.
All Happy Families, season 5, episode 4, All Happy Families. And the director was Rodrigo Garcia. And that was, I didn't know who he was at the time, but he has done so much since then. And I said to him before, I said, listen, I just have a big favor to ask you. I said, I only have, I'll do whatever you want, but I have one favor. The music stands that say Starlight Orchestra, can you please get that in the shot? And he promised me he would. Did.
That's called standing up for yourself. Season 5. Can we have applause for that? Season 5, episode 4 of The Sopranos.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was... Okay, now over the years, I also know some high-profile events you've done. I think you did the wedding of... They're now divorced. What's his name? Kirk Douglas's son, Michael Douglas
and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
You did their wedding, correct?
We did their wedding. That was like, oh my God. But from that wedding, Jimmy Buffett was there. And I have to say, it was such a compliment and such an acknowledgement that he started to hire us for his own parties. And this one particular party, it was his wife's 50th birthday, their house in Sag Harbor. And their guest list, interesting how a lot of famous artists, actors have a lot of musician friends and vice versa. And I was very impressed with that at Jimmy Buffett's party. Of course, it was like rock and roll royalty, but a lot of actors that you wouldn't expect. But the thing about that party that was the most amazing was, so it was a tribute to his wife, and he invited his friends to sing a song. And so we were the house band.
I love it.
So Billy Joel, he was in the, so Billy Joel, it's funny. He was in the process of getting divorced. So he sang Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, like as if it was a joke. It was like, I don't work. I don't make any money. I don't have any money, just watching the clouds. Well,
because it's wasting away in Margaritaville, that Jimmy Buffett's, famous for.
But it was amazing to be the house band and host all of these mega stars, amazingly talented people. James Taylor came up and he played. He played my guitar. He didn't have his guitar with him. And Bon Jovi played, and we got to play with everybody and, be the backup band. And one of my favorite moments was Richard Gere was there. And I didn't really know before that he's a guitar player himself. He has an amazing collection of guitars, but he was standing on the side of the stage watching us, watching not only the performance, but watching how this was all executed. Because, when you do a gig like this, it's almost like art in motion. I sometimes feel like the train is moving. We hit go, it's like the hit time, 8:00, boom, go. And we don't quite know what's going to happen, but we can't stop ever. Maybe there's hard stops 3 times in the night. We mix the songs like a live DJ. We're playing one and I'm counting up the next song in the new tempo while we're in the old song. And now with technology, I have a cue mic and the guys are listening to earbuds and I can talk to them. But in the past, it was just like hand signals and bridge and chorus and ending and go back to the beginning, go to the top. I mean, I feel like like a baseball coach. But he was standing there watching and it made me see myself from the outside, like, wow, like what a job this is. What an incredible job this is, because it's not easy and it's also very intuitive. You have to keep making choices.
And if you feel the audience, they're not at the right place vibrationally, you have to switch up your order of songs immediately. Yeah. That's why when I saw you, I realized what you did. People don't understand. They think a wedding band, it's just, how many songs does your band know? Give me how many numbers are in your book approximately?
Thousands. 400. Yeah, thousands, because maybe there's 400 with numbers, but then there's probably another 500 that we don't need music for, that everybody just knows. And then there's all the jazz standards and all the Broadway. And and when I first started in the 90s, think of how many more decades of music there are since then.
Right.
There's genres of music we didn't have then. Hip hop. There was no such thing. There was no rap music.
That's what I want to tell people. They don't know this. You are the first band. I see other bands do it, but you did it so successfully. Like, they would have a Frank Sinatra sound-alike. She would have them on salary. So for the Frank Sinatra songs, a person came. You would have a person that did rap. I mean, you have these people that are specialists, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is, this is why I hate to call it even a wedding band. It's an event. It's an event band.
This band is, it's geared to be. This band was geared to be able to finish the night after headliner. To be able to carry, because the person, and I didn't know that really about the band until the first gig I did with a headliner. We were hired to play after Donna Summer did a show for the NASCAR championship party. And we had, when they hired us, there was one stipulation, which was we had to set up in 15 minutes. We could get our stuff in the room in the morning. I mean, it takes 5 hours to set up this band, but that was the requirement. Could you hide your stuff in the room? So the show Donna Summer didn't go on until midnight.
Right.
And we went on at 2. At 9 in the morning, we had an opportunity.
That's people they're giving you kudos down there. That's a little party thing. Go ahead.
So
Thank you,
at
Audrey.
9 in the morning, we had the opportunity to get the gear in, and I wanted to watch what happened. So my production manager and I got there. It's the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. 9 in the morning, we loaded in our equipment, and we sat there all day, and we watched this company from LA create an arena style stage, lighting, 4 lighting trusses, follow spots in a small in a small ballroom, not the main ballroom, because the grand ballroom had the award show on a satellite feed. This was like the whole big NASCAR thing. So we stood there all day and we watched everything that worked. We watched all the mistakes they made. We just sat there and we watched, because we didn't want to lose track of where our equipment was, so that when her show was over, we could pop it up in 15 minutes. But one of the things I realized, and she was amazing, she basically had like a rock band from Nashville. It was all these like white guys with long hair. It was like the rocking guys. And she did a very rocking show. And one of the things I realized was, there's nothing like Donna Summer's Donna Summer, but the band was as good as that band. And I felt, and going on her stage with her rider, we got to play with that lighting truss and those follow spots and that smoke and all this equipment, and it changed. It was the same show we did, or it was the same kind of performance we did, but it was 1,000 times better because of like all those bells and whistles. So I wrote myself a rider that looked like hers. And I think in some ways I got a little bit of a bad reputation in my industry because people were like, who does she think she is? But once I had a taste of that, it's like, I want gigs that are going to support that. And so the next year NASCAR had a party. They called and they said, send us your rider, and we're going to give it to this production company. And I said, well, why don't you let me produce it? Because I had watched how it happened. And I said, I don't want to give my rider to somebody else, because it was a competitor band company that was the house band at that hotel. I said, I don't think I want to give my rider. Why don't you let me produce the show? So they brought in a headliner. They brought in Kool and the Gang. And
I remember that. You said, Kool and the Gang.
I handled the rider. I built their stage. And then the following year I said, why don't you let me bring in the act? So I hired the Commodores. And so, but I got so much practice. That's when we started what we call the Starlight Experience, because it was like, that was the Starlight Orchestra, but with more specialists and more dancing and more costume changes and a lighting rig, like with a lighting designer and the whole thing. And by the following year, there was one more year with we did the B-52s. And then the following year, it was Casey and the Sunshine Band. And after that, they stopped hiring a headliner. They just had us do 2 sets.
Okay.
And that was a really big
I got to give applause for that, because that is you. Yes. Thank you, Martha Barsha.
That's making cause, right? That's making cause.
It is. And by the way, Martha Barsha has experienced Valerie Romanoff for many years. If she wants to come up, I've invited her to just come up to say anything. Or if anybody else wants to come up, I'd like to take these last 15 minutes. If anybody has a question for Valerie or wants to know anything else, please just just ask to come up by those 2 little white lines, and I will bring you up, because there's also a wonderful person in the audience named Graciela, who does Monday night moon meditation show on this channel, and it's pretty amazing.
Oh,
it's plays, yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So, we know everything you do now, but let's talk about, just for the last 15 minutes, what kind of guitars do you play? If there's anyone in the audience that knows about guitars, they'll know. What are your favorite guitars?
Okay, I'm going to show you my favorite guitar right there. That is a Paul Reed Smith. I have a couple of Paul Reed Smith guitars. I would say, as much as I love Stratocasters, and I just love that sound, the Paul Reed Smith guitars are kind of my go-to and my favorite. They just have such a great feel. It's just a beautiful instrument. I have a bunch of acoustics. I have a Martin. I have a Goya nylon string, and then I have a lot of Fenders. I have a lot of Stratocasters. I have one, and I have guitars all over the country. I have my Telly. I have a purple Telly that I bought in Asheville, North Carolina.
Love that purple Telly. I love it.
That one is in Florida, lives in Florida, and my orange Strat lives in Sedona.
That's perfect.
I also have, for any guitar buffs out there, a custom-made Pensasur. Quick little story. When I was pregnant with my second child, with Doug, and I was still doing gigs. When I was pregnant with Joy, I was in labor the day that I was doing a wedding at the Plaza. But with Doug, I was so big, and I wanted a guitar that was smaller. So I went to Rudy's Music Stop on 48th Street, and John Sir worked there. And so I have a guitar called the Pentasur, and they took a Strat body and shaved it down and made it smaller, and a small neck, and it was lighter. It's a Strat. And it's custom made, and I put that on my big belly, and I turned sideways, so nobody really knew I was pregnant.
Nobody knew.
With that guitar.
Who would you say?
I have some basses too.
And rock and roll wise, because you're an incredible rock funk player, who would you say you were influenced by the most?
Well, back in the day, in the 70s, there were so many amazing guitar players from the rock. I would say my overall favorite guitar player of all time is George Benson. And
Yeah.
I mean, he was just, no matter what genre I identify with, there's just a magic to George Benson's playing and how clean and just so bluesy and just amazing. But all of the great rock guitar players, Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton and Duane Allman and all,
Yeah.
Richie Blackmore was a favorite of mine. I mean, I don't even know where to start. You know, there's just
I
so
just
many.
want to say one thing though. Did you have any female guitar players you looked up to? No, probably. Anybody in
Well,
Heart?
you know, a Heart. Oh my God, absolutely. Well, Bonnie Raitt though
Oh
is
yes.
always. Even today, I was just watching some. I mean, she's just and Susan Tedeschi. Now she wasn't around back in the day. Do you know Susan Tedeschi? Such a great singer, and she plays slide and she plays a beautiful telly. Her husband is Derek Trucks, who took Duane Allman's place in the. And they have a great band together that a lot of our friends have been in. A lot of the
Right.
people that I work with have been in that band and sang back up in that band. But I wasn't as keyed into a lot of the female guitar players. I didn't really know. There's just some amazing
Yeah.
guitar players. I once did a search, best female guitar players, and I was blown away. Joyce Cooling.
I don't know who
Remember,
Joyce
you
Cooling.
and I. Well, you and I went to see Emily Remler, and I have to say, back in the day.
Oh, Terry. Terry knows who that is. Terry, do you want to come up? Terry's an incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, no, what a great player. You and I saw her. We were at a bar in the Village, and she always blew me away.
That's amazing. Terry is an incredible guitar player. Terry, do you want to come on video?
No video, but hi. And I'm really enjoying this conversation. Thank you. Yeah, Joyce Cooling is wonderful. And I remember seeing Emily Remler in LA a couple times and got to know her as well. And just there's, and of course, Bonnie Raitt, some of the women that you're mentioning are spectacular, but it's interesting. And I understand why that most of your influences were men, just because of the time. But everybody you're shouting out is fantastic.
Yay, Terry Wilson.
I think I missed a few back in the day. There's a woman, and I feel really bad. I can't remember her name, but she's an older woman, and she's very bluesy. She's and I can't remember her name, but when I first heard of her, I was like, I can't believe I missed her. So, anyway, I'll have to come back around. But yeah, all of those players were so good. And Joyce Cooling, to this day, I study her solos. She's just and the music is so happy, very jazzy, but very happy, very happy.
Yeah, she's really versatile though. Also, and I had the great opportunity to join Kebmo's band, but we were out on the road with Bonnie Raitt's band for a year. So I got to watch Bonnie every single night, and it was just such a thrill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was,
and Bonnie,
John Cleary in the band then?
Yeah, John was playing. Yeah.
I came to know John when I was hanging out in New Orleans not that long ago, about 5-6 years ago. And he has a small band, and the guitar player's name is Big D, Derwin Perkins. And when I heard that boy play, I would come down to that club every night, as an adult, as a middle-aged woman, and sit at his feet and watch him play and tape it on my phone and study his. Do you know him, Big D? That's a shout out. He's one of my favorite guitar players ever.
I'll definitely go look him up now too. And by the way, John Cleary plays mandolin. Do you know that? He gave me a mandolin lesson too. Yeah, I think he said his uncle taught him or something. But he's a multi-talent. But I'm really enjoying hearing you talk about your music and career and everything. It's great.
Oh, thank you. We'll have to talk more. We'll have to jam together sometime.
Oh, and
I love that. Thanks, Valerie. Yeah.
And I'm being interviewed by Terry tomorrow, so you can tune in, Valerie.
Oh, join our conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, on Fireside.
5 p.m. East Coast time. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for coming up. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. This is just a wonderful show. Great to meet you, Valerie.
Great to meet you too.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, this is great. Martha, would you want to come up? I guess she doesn't want to come up. Graciela, do you want to talk about your show tonight and talk to Valerie about it? This is the last 10 minutes of our show. Oh, good. She's coming up. I love Graciela. Do you want to come to camera or not?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So Graciela does this incredible moon meditation kind of. Can you explain your show to Valerie? Because I'm sure she'll be very interested in hearing about it.
Yes. Hi, Valerie. I'm always so
Hi.
starstruck with Deborah and Terry and now you. Thank you for following me on Instagram. I'm so
Oh
happy.
yes, I just found you there today.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so my show is not about moon and it's not about magic. It's really about mindfulness. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so Monday is Moon Day. This is why it's called Monday, right? Like Sunday is about the sun. And so I've always been a Monday person. It's always been my favorite day. I get to plan the rest of my week, right, on Mondays. And that's what my show is about. Motivation for the week, intentional planning, lots of mindfulness conversations about what we want to create, how we want to, create an impact and all of that. And then I've always loved the moon. So there's moon rituals and all of this woo-woo stuff. But my moon rituals are all about journaling. So we journal in the new moon and in the full moon episodes, aside from the Monday episodes. And then we paint over it. So my husband doesn't get to see what I journaled. Nobody gets to see what I journaled. And that's like that sacred aspect to it. And we just watch as things happen and materialize, like, conversations like this one. And it's magical.
Yeah.
Wow,
No,
that's beautiful.
you have a great show. And do you want to ask Valerie anything at all before, because we're in the last 5 minutes?
Well, I'm wondering if you'll be around Fireside, if there's ideas and projects coming up for you, and where can we see you again?
Wow. Okay. That's a great question. And I'm not really sure what the answer is as far as on Fireside, but Deborah and I were talking about that today, about perhaps my having more of a presence on here. For now, on my YouTube channel is where I've been uploading the things that I'm working on and snippets of things. Of course, a Groove into Bliss I haven't even talked about, but that's the live concert version of like the Still Chill Thrill. So there's a link in that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Thank you, Graciela. For the last 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about that. I love you for coming up. Thank you. Groove into
awesome.
Bliss.
I'll have to check out her show.
Yeah, check out her show. It's great. Check out a Groove into Bliss, because you were live streaming weekly concerts called Groove into Bliss, right?
Yes.
What were they about? Let's do that for our last 5 minutes.
Okay, so we'll do this really quick. After I put out the album, and this is the album, this is the one that you were talking about. I was so busy doing my gigs that I really didn't develop further anything more than having recorded the music and getting it placed. And during the pandemic, when all the gigs were canceled and I was just home, I said, oh, wow, I could really start to develop these concepts. So I went online to do, somebody suggested, why don't you do a meditation? Everybody would love a meditation. So, and for me, I can never just do a meditation. It's like, okay, I'll do a meditation and then we'll make them dance. So, because, my life is about, making people dance. So Groove into Bliss it turned into be an online concert. It was every week. And it was a time to do the Still Chill Thrill, but it was a time to talk about what the power was of this time and about finding some stillness and using this stillness and peace and meditation to get through this difficult time we were going through. And then the chill part, doing some kind of like activation or some kind of musical meditation or a guided meditation or something, tying it into whether it was the summer solstice or Mother's Day or whatever it was. And then I always had a musical guest, and you were a guest on the show. And then in the end, we would just sort of dance it out. And I would play my favorite things, but it was just a forum, and people would come on and they would talk, and we, chat, and we would talk about, it was basically about mindfulness. And it was awesome. And then we were doing it live. I did it in Sedona live a few times. I did it for the Sedona Yoga Festival. And then this past year, I've done a few of those concerts. But that's what's new and coming.
And now I just want to say my favorite thing to this day is when I'm driving around listening to spa radio on Sirius and Valerie Romanoff pops up. And I'm like, that's my friend. And
I tell you, I am so excited about that. They've been playing it for 10 years every day. My songs are on there every day.
Spa Radio. You get royalties from Spa Radio. I mean, everybody knows what royalties are. That's how we live. It's like if you drive every day and listen to Spa Radio, Valerie Romanoff will come up.
Yay! What a thrill. The first time I heard myself, I pulled over and cried. I was like,
I know.
It's very moving.
It is very moving because it's intentional music. And, they just picked up on it. And you're right, 10 years they've been playing that. And what is that one song they always play? Do you know? There's one song.
There's about 5 of them that they play.
What do they play? Which ones?
Well, Om Shanti Shalom. They play the instrumental version
Om
of
Shanti Shalom.
And they play Bird Song at Dawn, the one that has the birds in the beginning and flutes.
Yes, Bird Song at Dawn. Keep talking. I'm going to try to get one up. I'm going to go out with these.
Great. They play Looking Glass. Dawn of Tao, which is a rather long piece. Pink Skies over Stillwater, which I composed out here on the lake.
Here it is. I'm going to go out on... This is fantastic. And anything else that they play?
Which song are you picking?
Should I play Om Shanti Shalom?
Sure.
Okay.
The instrumental version.
Yes.
Or anyone. Doesn't matter. That Tao's voice is on one of them. That's it.
Okay. This is fantastic.
Thank you so much. This is so much fun, Deborah. Oh my God.
This is so much fun. Everybody, Valerie Romanoff, click on that link. You will see everything she does. Listen to this. You can meditate to this music. Then she takes solos in it. It's just gorgeous. Valerie Romanoff, we're all going to clap for you now. We love you so much. Thank you so much for being with us. You are the best. I will see you next week.